Safety in schools back in the news this morning after a 25-year-old teacher was shot by her 6-year-old student earlier this month in Newport News, Virginia. Joining us now on set, the president and founder of Parents Defending Education, Nicole Neily. So nice to meet you in person. Great to have you in-house. So this teacher's attorney outlined steps the teachers in that school took to ensure not only the safety of the teachers, but also the students. Take a listen.
On that day, over the course of a few hours, 3 different times, school administration was warned by concerned teachers and employees that the boy had a gun on him at the school and was threatening people. Abby Zorner was shot in front of those horrified kids, and this school and community are living the nightmare. All because the school administration failed to act.
Okay, so as of this morning, the assistant principal has resigned. A 6-year-old with a gun. Sounds like there'd probably be some red flags before. I've got a 6-year-old daughter. Sounds like you'd probably be aware that maybe something was wrong. Take us through what you think happened here.
Yeah, so it seems like what happened is, again, this child had been flagged multiple times as being problematic. And sadly, what we're seeing over and over again across the country, not just in Newport News, is that when children are identified as being problematic, schools are not acting because they fear the Department of Education stepping in. They're about to bring back a new rule, something that they implemented during the Obama administration, that says if you discipline children of different races at different rates, that therefore is evidence of racism. And so we see districts that are not acting, that are not disciplining children, removing them from classrooms when they should be. And then when troublemaking children are removed, they're just sent right back in because of something called restorative justice. And so justice is not actually being done because, as we see, teachers are being shot, children are not able to learn. And this is not a kumbaya moment. Our children are not able to concentrate because they are unsafe.
Any just questions about how a 6-year-old gets a gun into a school?
So many.
Is that just anybody else asking that very simple question?
Strangely, no.
You know, yeah, restorative justice. It's clever. So the district attorney, they all voted. They had a meeting last night. The superintendent, George Parker, this is in Newport News. The mayor there put out a statement saying, "My colleagues on the city council and I support the Newport News School Board as they seek to hire a dynamic new leader for our public school system and move forward with the necessary changes to make our schools safer for everyone." That's a lovely little statement. Does it do anything?
I don't think so. I mean, it's, you know, they're trying to pass the buck, obviously. We've seen leadership change, but it seems like so many of these people that are brought in, they still buy into this kind of justice system. And at the end of the day, we need classrooms that are safe so that our children can actually learn. We're
talking about Newport News. There's a lot of crime in that area. This is the 3rd shooting there in 18 months. Obviously, there's a much bigger issue. Does that ever get addressed, or do we see statements like that and you know, assistant principals resigning, things that don't actually change anything about the way the schools actually run?
Right. No, the underlying changes are never being made. The school boards are not taking accountability. And even when the community members speak up and say, this is on, you know, we don't like this, we want our children to actually be in a safe environment, the school board members think they know better in many cases than the families do. You know, the consent of the governed is a big hassle for
all right, we've talked about this before. So the New York Post had an article out, and I want to put up that headline if I could. A California teacher is now helping students change their names and use pronouns that the kids are happy with, but the parents they're not aware that this is even happening. There it is. What do you make of this?
This is sadly happening from coast to coast. It's not just a California or a Manhattan problem. Districts across the country have things that are called gender support plans, where it works with the child to socially transition them behind their family's backs. These are parental exclusion policies. We actually have a lawsuit in rural Iowa over this because the district has said in Iowa, beginning in 7th grade on, which is 12 years old, families do not have a right to that information. In Eau Claire, Wisconsin, the districts have put out statements saying, you know, I'm your mom now. Families, this information must be earned. This is not something that
should Congress get involved? Because if this was happening in my kid's school, 6 and 4, I mean, I'd be furious.
Yeah.
As a parent.
I think Congress should get involved. The court should get involved. The Supreme Court has been very clear that parents have a right to control and direct the upbringing of their children. And we now have school officials that believe they know better than our families do. At the end of the day, my child graduates when he or she is 18 years old.
Right.
That math teacher is not going to be there. The superintendent is not going to be there.
You're darn right. And not going to be there when that child's 28, 38, 48, the rest of their lives. Who's going to be there? Parents and family. New York Times, this is not surprising, but the New York Times with a piece talking about this, and a teacher, Olivia Garrison, saying, quote, my job, which is a public service, is to protect kids. Sometimes they need protection from their own parents. What message does that send to parents?
we don't count, right? We're just, what are we called? Breeding people, birthing people. And so, yeah,
right.
Parents are being cut out of this equation. And the fact that schools now, with our tax dollars, it's insult to injury, that schools are implying and telling our children that we're not supportive, that we're not a safe environment. It's undermining that relationship, because that trust between parent and child, once undermined and once degraded, is very hard to repair.
Yeah. Do you have any comment on this? So when somebody transitions, they say, oh, this person was assigned male at birth. To me, that's a made-up term. You weren't assigned, you were born male or female. Mm-hmm. Have any comment on that, and how schools are also, they're fine with that? They're
introducing this information at very young ages, children 4, 5, 6, saying, my adults picked my gender when I was born, but sometimes they make mistakes. These are children who are not even potty trained. They're being told this information. So it's confusing for them. It's not age appropriate. And frankly, it's immoral that these schools are doing that.
Nicole Neily, thanks so much for coming in. Great to see you. Appreciate you breaking that down for us.